And welcome back to Alex Talking. It's Alex, your horror hound. And on Friday night, I saw Mortal Kombat 2 on the big show, it's called here in Denver, the Alamo Westminster. It's their equivalent of IMAX, pretty much. And I am thrilled to say I saw this on a Friday night with a almost completely sold out audience in this massive, like 200-person theater. I couldn't believe whenever I walked into the showing. My wife audibly said something about how many people there were in this gigantic theater. Like when we saw Devil Wears Prada 2 there last week, what, like maybe a third of the people were there. So it was just really shocking and nice to see such a great turnout. And it was a lively crowd that reacted to this thing like it was an actual fight, like an actual boxing event, which was a lot of fun because this is what I want from a MK movie. Excuse me. I'll say that right out the gate that I think this is a massive improvement over the last one, which I also didn't hate. I was really excited to take my wife to this movie because we're both huge MK fans. I grew up on. My dad didn't like playing Super Smash Brothers with me because I kicked his ass too much in it. So one day he came home with MK versus DC and was like, I used to love this game, Mortal Kombat, and now they got Batman in it. You're gonna love it, and I did. I absolutely did. And after that, I got MK9, which is still my favorite Mortal Kombat game to this day on the PlayStation 3. Freddy Krueger DLC. Oh, what a peak time to be alive that was. And I didn't like X, but I really, really liked 11. And I thought that 1 was a good reboot too. So I like Mortal Kombat a lot. I've played all the classic arcade games. My wife does not care as much for the lore. Like she just doesn't know it. But she would absolutely say MK is one of her favorite, if not her favorite, video game series. She has a T-shirt of it. It's all because one of our first dates was to a cafe with a arcade machine, and that's what we ended up choosing out of the arcade machine. Like you could just choose all these games on the one arcade box, and I was like, oh, let's play MK. And then we went on spring break to Tampa, Florida, and she was thrilled whenever we found another MK arcade box. And then I was like, well, we can play this on the PlayStation or the Switch, and she just couldn't believe it. So it was super fun to take her to this movie and have it be such a more classic ideal of what you want of a MK movie. Now, it's no flawless victory. I mean, I think that whenever you criticize a script for a movie like MK, it's like, well, it's a tournament fighter movie. And that's not what the last one was. So the last one, I rewatched it for the fourth time and like right before this movie, just so my wife could have context for it. And I have to say, that is such a weirdly misguided attempt at like fully being like, no, we have to make an establishing movie before we make the movie everybody wants. And I'm shocked they actually were able to get out of the gates and get a second movie, but I'm so glad they were able to because I've never hated that first movie, but I fully understand why people do because it's like so dumb and just as poorly acted. I don't like to like. Well, actually, the acting is mostly great in these movies. They all embody their characters great. I think that they're like a list of very good character actors. Kano is Kench Allenby from Anchorman 2. I think of the Meg whenever I see Sonya Blade. Jax is in a TV show my sister and I used to watch. I can't remember what it was called, but I think of that every time I see him. And I think he was in Supergirl. I'm pretty sure he was in Supergirl on the CW. I hate to say that that's what I recognize him from, but I'm pretty sure. Um, and it just keeps going. Like, you know, all the action movies you've seen Shang Tsung. Like Shang Tsung is the like banker from The Dark Knight. You know what I mean? Like it's just little stuff like that that brings me a lot of joy. But then you have two newcomer characters here. Kano was the absolute standout of the first movie, and I believe every movie would be better if Kano was in it. But Johnny Cage is my favorite character in the entire series, and I was so interested to see what they would do with him. I thought Joel McHale would be a great pick if you were going to go older. I thought Glenn Powell would be a great pick if you were going to go younger. They went with the same age as Joel McHale. I'm sorry, I'm just watching my cat. Peaches, make sure you stay in the yard. But they went with Carl Urban, who's only a year younger than Joel McHale. And I thought, what are you doing? That makes no sense. He killed it. He absolutely crushes it. Any scene with him is a scene stealer, and any scene without him, you can feel the energy drop. I don't think that the flatness of Katana's performance would have been felt by me so much if not for the fact that Johnny Cage has so much screen presence that every single time it cuts to Katana, and especially, oh my gosh, Jade was. I really don't like to bully actors, so I'm not gonna like say any names or anything. But Jade was a horrible performance, and I thought to myself, imagine being the loser whose favorite MK character is Jade, and then you got to watch this movie and be like, well, Jade sucked. Katana was cool, like the action was cool. I just thought the performance was really lacking. Um, and I hope that gets much, much better in the next movie. I don't know if that's a script thing, because the script around her character is not great as well either, but definitely no lifting by the performance. Um, but Baraka is another standout new character. The Johnny Cage Baraka interactions are fantastic. And yeah, Johnny Cage and Kano go to hell is like one of the best parts of any movie this year. So I have to say, I thought this was super fun, super, super gory. I enjoyed the first movie well enough, even if I can understand the criticisms. But I like the gore and I like the Kano, and this gives me more gore, more Kano, and Johnny fucking Cage. So how could I not be at least satisfied with this? I also have to shout out. I loved what they did with the Cole Young character. I think that that was fantastic because it reminded me so much of, if anyone's a Godzilla fan and has seen Godzilla Final Wars, the treatment that Zilla 98 gets, the American Godzilla that everyone hates, and just gets eviscerated by the actual Godzilla. I kind of, in my heart of hearts, like if I got to make an MK2, like if they got me to make this movie as a sequel to that first movie, I would have pitched them. And I want to have Cole Young. Oh, spoilers. Spoilers from here on out. 7 minutes in. I'd give this movie a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Go see it if you're an MK fan. Now I'm going to get into what I was about to say. Spoilers. I would have pitched, yeah, well, I'll do it, but you need to let me explode Cole Young, like with a fatality immediately, and he doesn't even get a punch in. He gets a good fight in, and that's what actually surprised me. I thought, because as soon as the fight starts, it's like, oh, Shao Kahn just got unbelievable powers, and he's gonna fight Cole Young. You know what's gonna happen. I would have just had him one shot him, to be 100% honest, but I think that the effect of the fatality is absolutely felt and absolutely great. Um, I just think it's very interesting that you can notice a very sensible shift in Hollywood's greatest export being broadest possible appeal comic book movie blockbusters to now being very niche video game audiences, because they're realizing video game audiences are very large. So even if it's a niche one, it'll still make you a couple $100 million. And that's kind of what all these past video game adaptations have felt like. And I have seen myself on both sides of whether or not I like it based off of if I like the game. Because there is a critique and a criticism to be made that, well, this is not a traditionally great movie. Now, I think there's a lot to praise on technical levels. Like, obviously, anyone complaining about the script, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna defend the script. I'm not gonna do anything other than say I think Mortal Kombat's always been a B movie tournament fighter story, and it does that here. But what I think is really interesting is that if you put like this next to the Super Mario Galaxy movie, Five Nights at Freddy's 2, Return to Silent Hill, a Minecraft movie, and Sonic 3. Those are all, and Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City is another great example, actually, so I'm going to throw that out there. Those are all movies that, half of the movies I just listed, I would give a thumbs up and a genuine like 3.5 or higher to. And half of them I have given half a star to. Return to Silent Hill, Minecraft movie, Five Nights at Freddy's 1 and 2 are all completely borderline unwatchable pieces of absolute trash and have no redeeming qualities. Like when I think of the Minecraft movie, or when I think of any movie, honestly, that truly has no redeeming factors, the Minecraft movie is one of the easiest to point at. Like, it is just horrendous to look at, horrendous to listen to, awfully acted, awfully written, completely nonsensical, and brain rotting children. But on the other end of the spectrum, go to an R rated one like Return to Silent Hill. Now, that's not in any way a faithful adaptation, other than just throwing things at you that you would recognize and you would see. So it falls into the same category, in my opinion. And it's terrible. It completely butchers anyone who likes, in my opinion, anyone who likes that story. It completely butchers any sort of nuance or actual substance to it. Uh, Whereas something here, like Mortal Kombat, it does all the same. Hey, look at this. Here's this stage you recognize. Here's this fatality you'd recognize. Johnny Cage literally at one point does a back forward circle, and I was thrilled. Like, you know what I mean? And that's the type of thing where you don't give a shit if you've never played the game. And to you, this could just be complete CGI schlock. I also have to shout out, I believe that the director, who I don't think has ever done anything outside of these movies, I think he does a really good job of blending actual martial arts choreography and CGI. Not very many people do. And I really don't think that this is that abhorrent of an example, especially given that most MK games have a lot of outlandish, crazy visuals, like Liu Kang's fire dragons and stuff is like what I'm trying to articulate. So like you have to have that sort of thing, and I really don't think they incorporate it poorly. I think they actually do a good job, and it's very well shot, well directed action. Um, but back to my comparison, just the current state of film, I think that these are like the biggest movies being pushed right now, are video game movies and video game adaptations. But they're not so much adaptations as they're becoming like translations. Like the Street Fighter movie looks like a direct translation of the game to the screen, Like they're not sanding down the edges. They're not making it something that everybody can get into. And that's exactly what this was. That's what the Mario Galaxy movie was. And like I just mean like they're not overcomplicating things anymore. They're not overthinking it. If anything, they're very clearly underthinking and just going with translations rather than adaptations. And I don't think that's necessarily horrible. I'm going to say it. Like, I think that it is okay to enjoy summer fun popcorn blockbusters. These movies are in the exact same level of quality as Marvel movies, or like something like The Meg. I already shouted out. And those are movies that I also would never fight somebody if they told me it sucked, but I also would never tell somebody that I think it sucks. I enjoy them. I mean, half the Marvel movies are fucking horrible, but you know what I mean. Like I'm talking about like Mortal Kombat 2 is just as good as something like Black Panther 2. Like just because one of them is trying to do more with like a script doesn't that's not a great example actually, because Black Panther 2 is kind of a hard movie. I don't want to criticize Black Panther 2 because they got dealt a horrible hand. Mortal Kombat 2 is just as good as Doctor Strange 2, I guess, is a much better example. Or Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Like I truly don't, as someone who like enjoys like all those movies to a certain extent, I don't think Doctor Strange 2 is very good, but it has like scenes that are good. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Like it's not a good script, it's not a good story. Like the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is the type of thing where it's like, oh, it's cool to see like these characters again. It's not a good story really because Gamora's been completely sidelined. So like there's so many issues to have with those movies, but at the end of the day, Doctor Strange wears a cloak of skulls and they play the Flaming Her Lips, Do You Realize, in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So there's always stuff to find and enjoy in these movies. They play We Care a Lot in Guardians 3. Chris Pratt says fuck. It has some good moments. And that's basically what I'm saying, is that blockbuster filmmaking is always going to be hit or miss with every audience, because sometimes you can just see it as complete schlock and drivel, and sometimes you can just see it as a really good time that speaks to your inner kid and lets you have a good time. Something like Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Mortal Kombat 2 should not be comparable because they're going to completely different audiences. But at the end of the day, I really do see that like exact similarities in the way that these movies are now being made, and I think I'm enjoying them more than I enjoyed old video game adaptations. So I think it's fair to say that I am not somebody who absolutely hates the way that these movies are being made nowadays, because I think it's important to meet a movie at its level. I think the Super Mario Galaxy 2 movie is like the best example of like, I can't believe that people are upset with that movie. If you're really that mad at the Mario Galaxy movie, you need to look inside. because it's a kids movie that actually was very successful at everything it attempted to do. And I guess you can be unhappy that it didn't attempt to do the things that you wanted it to do. And if this movie, Mortal Kombat 2, falls into the same category of, well, I don't care that the games are only ever tournament fighters. Sometimes they have time travel and a bunch of crazy, stupid bullshit. And I would have rathered them really delve into that. It's like, really? There wasn't enough stupid bullshit whenever they sent Kano and Johnny Cage to hell to find Scorpion, who is tending his garden and then transforms it into actual biblical hell. And then Noob Saibot just appears and is like, hey, I'm Noob Saibot. And if you don't know who that is, you literally have no idea why they're saying that that's Bihan Sub-Zero, other than, oh, I guess he's like a Reaper Revenant now, just like Liu Kang. Like, all this stuff just Quan Chi just appears, and Quan Chi looks fucking amazing. But all this is to say, I really enjoyed Mortal Kombat 2. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you haven't seen it yet, go in and meet it at its level. You know, get yourself a bucket of popcorn and a Coke, and just have a good time at the movies. It's a very fun action movie, and it's actually laugh out loud funny at a lot of times with lines from Johnny Cage, Kano, and Baraka. So those were my thoughts on Mortal Kombat 2. Let me know what you thought, and if your favorite character was in this, or if you're waiting to get Aaron Black like me in the sequel. So we know there's going to be an MK3, probably 4 and 5, because back in 2020, that's what they said these actors signed on for. So as far as I'm concerned, Simon McQuaid, you did a huge improvement over the last one, and I can only imagine the third one will be more gory and even better. So I really enjoyed Mortal Kombat 2. Thank you for watching, and have a great day. Happy Mother's Day. God bless.